Hello everyone, welcome to an analysis of dance where we discuss the movements and debuts of the Billboard Hot Dance charts in immaculate detail with in-depth reviews of each debut each week. Another week, another quiet list of debuts that don't really offer much at all. I mean, with the exception of a top 20 debut that we will get to, the majority of these I don't have any expectations will stick around, and given that there's barely any movement alongside it, yeah, this week was kind of uninteresting to me, and when you get to some of these debuts, yeah, not really good. Now with those two Bizarrap and Rauw Alejandro collabs that are likely to impact pretty high next week, we can see the top 10 finally get some destruction, but besides that, I'm not really sure what else is going to come forward. We can really only hope that it gets more interesting than this did. Speaking of the top 10, I'm Good Blue by David Guetta and BB Rexa is still at number 1, and really I don't have any expectations that this is going to get knocked down by either of those collabs in the near future, as it's just way too strong in every category, but still, I can see them making at least some impact. Even above Baby Don't Hurt Me by David Guetta and Marie and Coi Leray at number 2, which is kind of stalling out a bit on radio. Interesting there, I thought that was going to be a lot bigger than what it was. And even Trustful by Pink at number 3, which is losing sales but has the radio support, so it's going to be at least a bit stable. But still, I don't really expect it to make any sort of challenge in the near future. I mean, of course these are going to knock down Hold Me Closer by Elton John and Britney Spears from number 4, as well as El Merengue by Marshmello and Memo Tolizo at number 5, as really both are only up here because of a certain song falling below them, and really they're just not strong enough at this point to really face any sort of big challenger. Speaking of that big fall, yep, Bizarrap Music Sessions Volume 53 by Bizarrap and Shakira just utterly collapsed down to number 6. But really when streaming is starting to rotate out this one fast, I'm not exactly surprised there. Really, I'm surprised that it's held on as long as it has, and I'm not exactly complaining, it's a really good song still. And hell, once you skip past Padam Padam by Kylie Minogue at number 7, which unfortunately is gaining in all categories, especially radio, this may result in the end of 1035 by Tiesto featuring Tate McRae at number 8, as that song really just does not have any strength in any category to really keep it up, and really with how these songs are likely to debut above it, I can see it possibly getting knocked out to the top 10, or at the very least at number 10, which means it's in serious danger of being kicked out properly. It happens. But what I can see making a run for a really stable position in the near future is Miracle by Calvin Harris and Ellie Goulding at number 9, which is absolutely gaining up on pop airplay and really has the streamings to support it. Thank God this is actually getting some momentum now. We can really hope it goes up in the future. But what I don't want to go up and what I expect will get kicked out next week is our return to the top 10 for Look Don't Touch by Odetari and K. Claire at number 10. And look, it's got huge streaming but nothing else, and with those songs debuting above it, this is going to get kicked out again. Good riddance, this song sucks. But on the topic of big things getting kicked out, our big fall off this week was Maybe You're the Problem by Ava Max, which somehow managed to last 20 weeks and outperform Million Dollar Baby and Ghost despite it being released earlier than those songs. Really telling there. Outside of that, we only had 2 falls this week and both were really predictable. I mean, I Like You by Tove Lo is continuing to just really underperform at 35, it happens, as well as Vulgar by Sam Smith and Madonna collapsing all the way down to 23. And really, given how hard it fell off its debut, I can actually see this being a flop single, which for Sam Smith in 2023 is really surprising. I didn't expect they would fall this badly. But here's the ironic part, we didn't have a single song jump 5 spots or more this week. I mean, we had a few that jumped 4 spots in the bottom 5th of the chart, interesting, but no song really had enough to fall under my rules. Real shame too, because the only comeback we got was For All I Want Is You by Reb 6 featuring Hoshi Star at 49. Okay, seriously, can we actually let go of this song? It's been flopping considerably since it debuted, and we really don't need it having a second run. Please, can we just kick this out? It's absolute trash. But once again, only 4 debuts, starting with something that should have debuted months ago. Number 50, React by Switch Disco and Ella Henderson. Shocked it's taken this long for this song to cross over. I mean, this has been in the top 10 of the UK for several weeks now, and given the fact it not only follows the sampling trend of house as of recently, but also features Ella Henderson on it, I was expecting this would cross over way earlier. Now, I've seen a fair few people hate on this song, mainly thanks to said trend and the fact that it's more of a slap house song, and Okay, I do get it, but I honestly like this one a lot more than I expected. Yes, the sample is blatant, and you can argue that Ella Henderson still doesn't have anywhere near the personality to write this sort of song effectively, but man, the hook is really damn good, the production still slaps all the way through and really sounds good for slap house standards, and you can tell that Switch Disco really did this out of love for the original song by Robert Miles, which is a goddamn classic, as he was actually credited on streaming services, and thus the money is actually going to go towards his friends and family given his unfortunate passing a few years ago. Rest in peace, man. I mean, look, it's not my favorite of the sampling trend within house, especially with praising you on the charts right now, but this is still a close second for me. I actually found this really solid. Again, I get why people don't like this, but for me personally, it's really damn good. Check it out. Number 42, Blackout Days Subtronics remix by Phantogram. Okay, seriously guys, I get that dubstep is still a thing in the mainstream, but why are we giving Subtronics any sort of attention in 2023? Let alone with a remix of a song that came out 10 fucking years ago from Phantogram of all people. I mean, it's not surprising, Subtronics has had this weird trend recently of remixing old songs, even despite them being well past their time, and re-listening to the original song by Phantogram, it does fit more towards Subtronics' aesthetic of being this dark, gritty, industrial song, but man, I was not excited for this at all, given that I've really not liked anything Subtronics has charted in recent memory, and okay, color me shocked that this is not actually a dubstep remix at all. In fact, it's actually a drum and bass remix of all things, taking the darker industrial tones of the original and turning them into a neuro sound, which actually sounds really good for this sort of song. Honestly, I'm shocked at how well this worked for me, especially given Subtronics hasn't really delved into drum and bass as of recently, or at least I don't remember it. Sarah Barfeld's vocals really do fit well over this sort of production, even if the mixing does make them a bit too compressed for me, and the production and structure actually remains fairly consistent from the original. There's not really a whole lot changed here outside of the genre on the drops, which is actually pretty damn good. It's very faithful to the original. Now, it's definitely not great. I've heard drum and bass of this style that's way more interesting coming out of this year, and I still do feel like Subtronics' mixing problems aren't really going away anytime soon. But by the standards of his recent charting songs, this is probably his best charting song since Gristronics 2, possibly ever. But by the standards of his charting songs as of recently, this is probably his best. It might even be better than Gristronics 2, which is saying something for me. I like this a lot. This is gonna definitely get ignored by a lot of people, but still, it's a really interesting little curiosity. I was honestly pretty impressed by it. Check it out. Number 28, Montagem PR Funk by S3BZS. The fact I have to talk about this fucking garbage ass genre for the second time in 6 months is absolutely gross to me. I mean, I get the appeal of funk Mandalao. It's clearly a club genre that's meant to appeal to the drunk pissheads at the club who really don't care how a song sounds as long as the bass hits hard. But even by this genre's standards, you can do better than this assault to human decency made by someone with barely any attention outside this song and who probably doesn't deserve any after this. And the song itself, yeah, it's fucking trash. I mean, seriously, the production is so clipped that it literally sounds like a fart. The synths have no power to them, and even the kick drums don't sound remotely satisfying, which for someone who likes the kicks in most house music, that's just inexcusable. And then the song just ends like that. It's only 1 fucking minute. Are you kidding me? I mean, I get the attention spans of the newer generation, especially on TikTok, are really low, but seriously? You couldn't even extend this past 1 minute? Are you fucking joking? So yeah, in other words, fuck this trash, and I can only hope that this underperforms and flops. We don't need more of this godforsaken genre on the charts, especially when it's just not really all that interesting when you get down to it. So yeah, this is fucking awful. Skip it. And finally, number 16, It Goes Like Nanana by Peggy Gou.
It's just a feeling that I won't leave behind, because it's something that it's on my mind. I guess it goes like nanana.
I feel like this was long overdue to happen. So for those of you who don't know, Peggy Gou is a South Korean producer who's been building up a real amount of momentum as of recently, with her song I Go actually charting in 2021 and being a mostly really damn good song, even if it didn't really have much staying power. So fast forward to now, and this particular song has really been blowing up around the world, including hitting the top 10 in the UK. That seems to be the story of this week. Does this live up to the same standards that I Go had? Honestly, yeah. In fact, I might actually like this a lot more. I mean, I will admit this one definitely did take a while to click with me, especially with Peggy Gou's vocals being so weird and quirky against the really breezy production with some really great guitars and a really old school sounding house beat that sounds really damn good. Honestly, you could release this in the 90s and it would have fit really at home. It's got the sort of mixing and authenticity that really does work well here. Now, I will admit, I definitely get why people would be turned off by the vocals. They're definitely strange and kind of remind me a lot of Elisa Rose's vocals on Baddest of Them All, but just like that song, it honestly really works with the sort of vibe that this is going for, where it's very blissful and summer sounding, and it honestly really works well for me. Put Peggy Gou on more of this sort of production and she could sound really damn good. And compared to a lot of the artists nowadays trying to replicate this sort of house but really not delivering in the same way, this feels really damn authentic, and again, I really like this. I'm glad it's actually blowing up. So yeah, this is a terrific song, and honestly I really hope it becomes a hit. It's a really damn promising change of pace from everything else that's charting here. So yeah, great stuff. Check this out. And yeah, it easily runs away with the best of the week here, although a lot of the other debuts actually stuck the landing pretty surprisingly for me. Yes, we have that absolute pile of fucking garbage that is Montagem PR Funk by S3BZS, and that is easily getting the worst of the week here. One of the worst charting songs I've heard in recent memory, if not the absolute worst. But quite frankly, I have no expectations it's actually gonna stick around, and really, we're all better off for it. Good fucking riddance. Next week, Bizarrap and Raul Alejandro are coming in twofold, but I do expect a few other big names to debut pretty damn high. It could be a really destructive week. So yeah, stay tuned for that. So yeah, that's all for this episode of an analysis of dance. See you next time.